If you've only been sticking to the meta picks, trust me, now's the time to listen up. Sometimes the best agent for the job isn't always the one that you would expect, which is why today we'll be covering the 3 most underrated agents. So all you Jet mains out there can maybe play someone else for once.
Alright guys, Sage is a Sentinel that has had her kit tuned back many, and I mean many times. In fact, she's the most nerfed agent thus far in Valorant's lifecycle. Since beta, she's been a must pick on most maps due to her Resurrection ultimate coupled with her unparalleled stalling abilities. Her potential to stall out rounds single-handedly has led to some major nerfs, specifically targeting her wall and slow orbs. Even though Sage is no longer that one-man stalling machine that she once was, her kit is currently undervalued and probably one of the strongest agents on 2 specific maps. Those maps are ICEBOX and Split, and today we'll be covering why her kit is so great on these 2 maps and how you can utilize this niche pick to secure yourself some free wins. She is by far the strongest agent that people just are not playing right now, except in extremely high elo. If there's one agent to start picking up after this video out of the 3, definitely look to add Sage into your arsenal first. Before we get into the specifics of Sage's strengths though, as always, we have our question of the day. How do you guys like the new game mode, Snowball Fight? Personally, I love this type of mode, and I hope that Valorant will continue to produce tons of unique and casual game modes like this. Although Valorant is largely a more competitive game catered towards the more experienced FPS players, I think that these types of game modes are a ton of fun and can keep the game refreshing and exciting. Have you guys been enjoying and playing Snowball Fight? Let us know in the comments down below. The newest map addition to Valorant's map pool, ICEBOX, is quite a unique map to say the least. With its uniqueness, it has surprisingly brought agents like Sage back into the discussion. She thrives on this map, and with other Sentinels like Cypher and Killjoy receiving significant nerfs as of recently, it makes Sage much more viable. A big reason as to why she's had so much success on ICEBOX is due to other agents like Breach, Phoenix, and Raze that have a much harder time finding success on this map. With that said, let's talk about some neat walls that you can look to implement in the start of the round to block off some tight areas of the map. With the way the spawns work on this map, it is very hard to destroy your wall before it forms with the recent buff to its durability over time. It can really be a nuisance to deal with. More often than not, most players will just ignore a well-placed Sage wall and look to pressure somewhere else. When that happens, they're falling into your gameplay trap, which is great and will make it easier to position yourself around the map. The first and best wall that you will want to utilize on the defender's side is this vertical wall that blocks off the container in mid. By removing this access point from play, the enemy attackers will either have to go through your spawn from mid or they are forced to move underneath the container. This is not an ideal path for them, as it opens up a nice little crossfire play that the defenders can now use. Notice how you are open to getting shot from kitchen and B bomb site. Lastly, let me show you some cheeky boost walls that you can do off the rip of a round that can give you some good sight lines and ability to find opening picks. One on A site, one at mid, and another near the barrier outside of B. Each of these will give you a vertical advantage over your enemies as they peek into your area. You will have a clear shot advantage unless they already expect it. So if you've already done this once already, don't look to do it again until you believe that they won't be expecting it. Split is a map that by design is fairly straightforward. With Sage largely out of the meta, many teams have had a much harder time holding the mid area on defender side. With the recent change to her wall though, if you get your wall off before the attackers are able to break it, the wall is stronger than ever. Additionally, with Cypher and Killjoy providing less flank control, Sage is looking like an extra juicy pick on this map. For example, Killjoy can no longer place a turret and alarm bot to cover A and B flanks. On top of that, Split has been notoriously known for having the longest rotates in Valorant, so many defenders won't opt to flank even when they find an opportunity to do so. More often than not, they will decide to rotate through their own spawn if they find that you guys are leaning towards one side rather than hard flanking. If you don't believe me, test this out in one of your games. Because Split is such a defender-sided map, you won't get many rounds on the attacker side regardless. Having such a strong agent to control the mid area can really help secure rounds that you might lose otherwise. Additionally, many players aren't used to Sage's resurrection anymore. On top of that, many agents who are used to counter her ultimate are either not played or the counterplay available is less viable. For example, Brimstone's ultimate used to be the go-to counter for a Sage resurrection. Every time a Sage would resurrect, any good Brimstone would save their ultimate to trade out the resurrection. Even Raze's ultimate would do the trick, but due to its nerf to its pullout time, it is much harder to react to a Sage res this way. When you play Sage, try your best to contest the B main orb on the attacker side. It's usually uncontested, and if you can have another player cover you, you can turn the tide of some attacker rounds with a resurrection. I'm telling you guys, you can't be sleeping on Sage for these two maps. Similarly to Sage, Brimstone was once a cornerstone pick in Valorant. You see what I did there? For the longest time, he was the premier smoke agent that was played primarily on each map. Although I still believe that Omen is the better pick on many of the maps in Valorant, I do want to talk about Bind and Haven as two maps that can suit Brimstone pretty well. I'll try and highlight why Omen is played on these two maps to begin with and how to utilize Brimstone's utility to put him over Omen in specific situations. Brimstone is without a doubt an agent that is still very strong on these two maps. I'd say if you're struggling to utilize Omen's TP and ultimate throughout each game, try to play Brimstone when you can. He's definitely slept on and will be buffed in the near future, even if he might not need a big one to begin with. If you've been following the Valorant competitive scene, you can know how deadly a post-plant Brimstone can be. A knowledgeable Brimstone player can single-handedly secure post-plant wins with a well-timed molly lineup and ultimate usage. He can effectively stall out about 10 seconds of the bomb plant, and at 45 seconds to blow, that's actually a lot of time lost for the enemy team. If they're forced to get off this bomb, or if it's not defused halfway, this usually spells disaster for the enemy team. If you're able to get into position in showers, you can give your team some great smokes. Once the bomb is down, you can look to watch your flank for your team as they hold back for the retake. As long as they do not get wiped very fast, even just a molly can help you clutch, especially in 1v1 or 1v2 situations with just 20 or so seconds left. Your molly alone can buy you tons of time to secure one kill and play time for the 1v1. The lineup is fairly simple. If you aim the crosshair portion above the Brimsmoke icon at the tip of the shadow near market, it will always land in the general area. 90% of players will plant the bomb. If you're worried about the bomb plant though, tell your team to plant truck, just in case. Just like Bind, Brimstone's ability to play post plants is second to none. He has molly lineups for all three bomb sites that are very, very easy to remember. Today, we'll cover just one of them, but if you want to learn more, we may have a full comprehensive guide on Brimstone. If you can't wait, always feel free to go to our website, ProGuides.com, to get one of our coaches to help you learn those mollies right away. The one that we will be going over right now is the molly for B site. This is the one a lot of players don't actually know or utilize, but if you put yourself near the attacker spawn outside of the mid window, you will have to line up just the bottom tip of your molly's arrow that points downward with this portion of the roof. If it's planted for mid window, you can also spam through any smokes to kill diffusers once you ping the bomb properly. Besides his potent post-plant stall, don't forget that his smokes are actually stronger at stalling than Omen's smokes. The main reason why Omen became so meta is because his smokes being taller and wider, and with the Jet Operator meta being such a strong part of it, his smokes helped lessen Jet's ability to find picks over smokes. But with the Operator being much more rare, Brimstone's smokes are more viable than ever. Players won't be comfortable playing inside of your smokes like they might be with Omen's. Lastly, let's not sleep on his stim beacon. I can't tell you how many kills I've actually secured by using his stim beacon before peeking an enemy. It gives me the confidence to just win those duels, because if I don't land the initial headshot, the increased rate of fire will secure it for me. I mean, come on, who doesn't love free stats? Couple this with some well-placed ultimates, and Brimstone is a force to be reckoned with. I really do think that his lack of play is largely due to the comfort around Omen now and his high utility cost. But if you're able to utilize his kit better, I do think that he has a lot of potential on these two maps over Omen. Let's end off with the newest agent in the current Valorant lineup, Skye. She is without a doubt an agent with a lot of areas to explore and potential to be very potent on many maps. With it being fairly difficult to unlock her naturally, you won't see the average Valorant player with Skye unlocked yet, or with enough hours put into this agent just yet. On top of this, many Tier 1 and Tier 2 teams are just now starting to implement Skye into their theory crafting for team compositions. Give it a few more months and you'll see her being played and dominating more games. If you want to get a head start, let's talk about her kit and why she is filled to the brim with potential. First and foremost, her 3 flashes give her and her teammates auditory cues for when the enemy is blinded, and they can be remote controlled, which is honestly pretty insane. On top of that, her wolf acts like a budget Sova drone, and she has an AoE heal to boot. She is without a doubt a strong agent that is super flexible when mastered, and if it's not enough, she is one of the few agents to still have a 6-charge ultimate. If you're securing orbs or getting kills, you will be able to rip this ultimate off cooldown almost every other round. Even if you don't secure kills with it, enemies will be forced to shoot it or reveal their position either way. You'll get free global information on where your enemies are holding, and you'll have the opportunity to follow up on them and get kills. I see this particularly strong at opening up sites or using it to retake after the spike is planted. Although you often won't be able to capitalize on it directly, it is still great at helping you make better decisions mid-round. Agents like Phoenix and Jet are some of the only other agents with a 6-charge ultimate, and Skye's ultimate is no different. It's guaranteed value and at such a low cost. It's honestly hard to believe that combined with the rest of her kit, she wouldn't be a strong pick on many maps. I believe her skill ceiling is around the same level as Sova's honestly, and his initial impression in beta was that he was a weak agent. I think the same situation will happen with Skye.
Well, I'd like to hope that I won't see as many duelists in my game after this video, but I think we both know that's not gonna happen. With that being said, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and also don't forget to ring that notification bell in order to never miss an upload. Stay safe, stay healthy, I'll see you all in the next one.